Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. Wednesday night at 11:32 p.m., my phone lit up with a text message that would change everything. I'd been sitting on the couch in our Claremont house, checking basketball scores before bed, when Amanda's message appeared. Brief and businesslike, like she was terminating a contract. I'm moving forward with the divorce. I need you to respect my decision and stay out of my way. I've already made arrangements to stay elsewhere. We can handle the details through lawyers. No phone call. No face-to-face conversation after 11 years of marriage. Just a text message delivered while I scrolled through sports news. I read it once, then read it again to make sure I'd understood correctly. The words didn't change. I sat there for exactly 30 seconds, then typed my response. Understood. One word. Send. The timestamp showed 11:33 p.m., 1 minute after hers. I stared at the screen, waiting for something else. An explanation. A second message saying she didn't mean it. Anything. But nothing came. Just silence and that cold, formal text sitting in my message history. Thursday morning arrived too soon. I woke at 6:15 a.m. hoping yesterday had been some kind of stress dream. It wasn't. Amanda's clothes still hung in the closet, her shoes lined up by the door, but she wasn't there. The house felt different. Empty in a way it hadn't been before. On the kitchen counter, I found a note in her handwriting. Staying with Jill for now. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, giving myself exactly 10 minutes to feel whatever I was going to feel. Shock, mostly. Some hurt. A strange sense of relief I didn't want to examine too closely. When the timer on my phone went off, I stood up and got to work. If she wanted this handled like business, then I'd handle it like business. My first call went to Richard Brennan, an attorney I'd worked with on a contract review 2 years ago. I left a detailed message at 7:08 a.m., forwarding Amanda's text while I was on the phone. He called back at 8:45 a.m., and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice even through the phone. This message is exactly what we need, he said. Clear abandonment of the marital home and stated intent to divorce. She's asking for legal proceedings. She's documenting her departure. Don't delete anything. Screenshot everything. This is gold. Second action, finances. By 10:30 a.m., I was sitting in a different bank than the one we'd used together, opening a new individual checking account. Our joint savings account held $94,400. I calculated exactly half down to the dollar, $47,200. I transferred that amount to my new account and changed my direct deposit routing number. Then I went home and created a detailed spreadsheet tracking every shared account, every credit card, every asset we owned together. I wanted documentation of everything. Third, security. I called a locksmith and changed the garage door code at 11:15 a.m. By 1 p.m., during what would have been my lunch break, a locksmith was at the house rekeying every lock. I documented each change with photos and timestamps. If she'd abandoned the residence, as her text suggested, then I needed to secure it. Fourth, insurance and benefits. At 1:30 p.m., I called HR and explained the situation. The representative walked me through the process of removing Amanda as my health insurance dependent, which was allowed immediately due to change in family status. I updated my life insurance beneficiary to my brother Daniel instead of Amanda. Changed my 401k beneficiary designation. Updated all my emergency contacts. The HR representative seemed surprised by how systematic I was being, but I learned a long time ago that emotion and efficiency don't mix well. Fifth, shared access points. I changed our Netflix password, then Hulu, then Amazon Prime. Updated the home Wi-Fi password and the security system access code. These were small actions, symbolic even, but each one reinforced the boundary she'd established with that text message. She'd made it clear she was moving on. I was accommodating that decision. Sixth, documentation. I created a folder structure on my computer with subfolders labeled divorce, communications, divorce, financials, divorce, legal, and divorce, timeline. I took screenshots of every text message between us, printed out bank statements going back 6 months, started a detailed log with dates, times, and descriptions of every action I was taking. Richard had emphasized documentation, and I was going to document everything. By 2:30 p.m. on Thursday, less than 15 hours after receiving her text, I'd accomplished more divorce preparation than most people manage in weeks. I felt efficient, focused, strangely calm. That evening, I ordered takeout from Miguel's Cocina, a Mexican place Amanda had always complained was too basic for her taste. I'd stopped suggesting it years ago to avoid the argument. Now I ordered exactly what I wanted: carne asada tacos and a large horchata. I ate at the kitchen table in complete peace, watching a basketball game on my laptop. No commentary about my food choices. No passive-aggressive sighs about sports. Just quiet. At 8:45 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Jill, Amanda's best friend. "She's really hurt you haven't called." I stared at the message for a moment before responding. She asked me to stay out of her way. I'm respecting her decision. Jill shot back immediately. "She didn't think you'd just give up like this." I typed carefully. "She asked for a divorce. I accepted her decision. That's not giving up. That's respecting her choice." No response came after that. For the first time in months, maybe even years, the house felt genuinely calm. There was no tension hanging in the air. No passive-aggressive comments about how I spent my time or what I chose to watch. Just quietness and peace. I'd spent so long trying to figure out what was wrong, trying to fix things I couldn't even see clearly, that I'd completely forgotten what peace felt like. Sitting there with my tacos and my basketball game, I realized I'd been walking on eggshells for longer than I wanted to admit. Friday morning, I drove downtown to Richard's office for our 10 a.m. meeting. His office overlooked the bay, and he greeted me with a firm handshake and what I'd describe as professional satisfaction. We sat down, and he pulled up Amanda's text message on his computer screen, reading it aloud. "She couldn't have made this clearer if she'd tried," he said. "Stated intent to divorce, abandonment of the residence, explicit request for legal representation." This timeline is incredibly clean from a legal standpoint. We discussed California's no-fault divorce laws, which meant we couldn't use fault as grounds for anything. But Richard noted that Amanda's message established a clear timeline of her intent and actions. "That matters for everything else," he explained. He reviewed all my financial separation actions, nodding approvingly. "Perfect. You protected your interests in direct response to her declared intentions. Everything documented." I handed him a flash drive containing screenshots, bank records, account changes, everything. "Excellent," he said. "Let's file response papers today. Let's make this official if that's what she wants." By 2 p.m. Friday, the filing fee was paid and the papers were submitted to the court. It was official now. We were in legal proceedings. Friday afternoon, while I was finishing up work, Amanda texted me. "We should probably talk about this." I sent back Richard's contact information along with his office address. She replied almost immediately. "That's really how you want to do this?" I wrote back. "That's how you said you wanted to do this." My phone stayed silent after that. Saturday afternoon around 2:30 p.m., I was organizing the garage when I heard a car pull into the driveway. Through the window, I watched Amanda get out and walk up to the front door. She tried her key. It didn't work. She tried again, jiggling it in the lock. Nothing. Then she knocked. I took a deep breath, walked to the door, and opened it. I didn't step aside to let her in. "You changed the locks?" She looked genuinely surprised. "You said you'd made arrangements to stay elsewhere." I replied evenly. "I didn't abandon anything. I just needed some space to think clearly." "You sent a text message saying you were moving forward with a divorce. That's pretty clear thinking." Her face shifted through several expressions. "I didn't mean it literally. I didn't even file any paperwork. It was just a text message. You said, and I quote, 'I'm moving forward with the divorce.' That's present tense. Active, not contemplative. Can I at least come in? I need to get some of my things." Make a list of what you need. You can coordinate pickup through your lawyer. "This is still my house, Rob." According to your text message and your lawyer, when you get one, you've established residence with Jill for the indefinite future. Her phone rang in her purse. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and I saw something flash across her face. Panic, maybe, or guilt. She silenced it without answering. "You should probably take that," I said, watching her carefully. "It's nobody important. Seems like somebody if you're checking it during this conversation." She tucked the phone away quickly. "We need to talk about this properly. Like adults. Have your attorney contact mine." "That's proper. That's what you asked for." "Jesus, Rob. This isn't what I meant." "Then you should say what you mean. Your text was extremely clear about what you wanted." I closed the door gently but firmly. Through the window, I watched her stand there for a moment, then sit down on the front step. She stayed there for nearly 10 minutes, staring at her phone, before finally getting up and driving away. I noticed she checked her phone 3 times while sitting there. Sunday morning, Amanda's mother texted, "Amanda is devastated. Can you please call her?" I explained I was respecting her daughter's request for space and legal proceedings. When her mother called me cruel, I replied, "I'm being respectful of her stated wishes. There's a difference." That afternoon, an unknown number left a voicemail. Christine Harper, an attorney, said she was representing Amanda and needed to discuss urgent concerns. I forwarded it to Richard. He texted back, "Perfect timing. Let me handle this." Monday at work, colleagues noticed I seemed calmer. When Richard called at 10:30 a.m., he sounded amused. "Had an interesting talk with Ms. Harper. She's concerned about the speed of your response and the financial separations." I asked what Amanda wanted. "Best I can tell, she thought you'd fight for her. Beg. Instead, you efficiently protected yourself. Harper wants a meeting to discuss reconciliation." I asked if Amanda actually wanted reconciliation or more time to explore options. Richard laughed. "That's exactly the right question." Tuesday morning, I was barely through my first coffee when an email arrived from Richard. Subject line, "You'll want to see this." I opened the attachment and found preliminary discovery responses from Amanda's attorney, including her financial records for asset disclosure. I scrolled through the credit card statements and felt my stomach tighten. Charges at high-end San Francisco restaurants. Lou Bernardine SF, Gary Danko, Quince. Multiple charges throughout September and October. Hotel charges caught my eye next. Four Seasons San Francisco, September 28th to 29th, $847. The Fairmont San Francisco, October 12th to 13th, $923. Flight charges on the same card. San Diego to San Francisco round trip, 3 separate bookings over 6 weeks. All of this on the credit card Amanda had always claimed she used only for groceries and household essentials. I grabbed my phone and started cross-referencing dates with my calendar. September 28th to 29th, the weekend Amanda told me she was going to a spa retreat with Jill in Temecula. October 12th to 13th, when she'd supposedly driven to LA to visit her aunt who was ill. I remembered both weekends clearly because I'd offered to come along to LA, and she'd insisted her aunt would be more comfortable with just her visiting. Every single restaurant charge was in San Francisco's financial district. Someone up there had been worth multiple expensive trips, elaborate lies, and hundreds of dollars in fine dining. And these were just the charges on her personal card, the one she'd claimed was only for household essentials. I had a sinking feeling there might be more on other cards. I called Richard immediately. She wasn't going to LA. She wasn't at any spa retreat. She was in San Francisco, repeatedly, for someone. "I see you found the statements," Richard said. "Interesting pattern, isn't it? How do we find out who?" We asked for her phone records as part of discovery. Her attorney had to disclose financials, so now we request communications records. They can try to refuse, but we have grounds. This financial deception directly impacts asset division. I spent my lunch hour doing research. I went through Amanda's old social media accounts, looking at photos from her college years at San Diego State. There, tagged in multiple photos from 2012 and 2013, was someone named Trevor Whitmore. They looked close in the photos. Very close. I searched for his current profile and found exactly what I was looking for. Trevor Whitmore, CEO and founder of a tech startup in San Francisco. His LinkedIn showed he'd moved to the Bay Area 5 years ago. Then I found the Forbes article from August titled, "Trevor Whitmore's Company Valued at $200 million After Successful IPO." The timing clicked into place immediately. August IPO announcement. Amanda's first San Francisco charges appeared in early September. I sent Richard a message, found a potential connection. College ex-boyfriend named Trevor Whitmore. Just became very wealthy. Lives in San Francisco. Timeline matches perfectly. His response came within minutes. That would explain the urgency and the planning. Let's see what her phone records tell us. Tuesday evening, Amanda texted asking to talk without lawyers. I redirected her to Richard. When she said she'd made a mistake, I replied that I was respecting her clarity. "Why are you being like this?" she asked. I wrote back, "Like what? Respectful of your stated wishes? Professional about the process you requested?" She said I'd changed. I replied, I'm exactly who I've always been. The difference is I'm not trying to fix something you've decided is broken. The next day, Wednesday, at lunch, I met Richard again. The phone records had arrived. They showed 347 text messages between Amanda and Trevor over 8 weeks, plus 23 calls ranging from 15 minutes to 2 hours. The timeline started August 15th, right after Trevor's IPO news. Richard showed me selected messages. Early August, Amanda reconnecting with Trevor. Late September, planning to tell me soon. Early October, coordinating San Francisco visits. Mid-October, discussing the divorce. The crucial messages came after Amanda's divorce text to me. October 25th, I did it. I told him. Trevor's response 3 hours later. Told him what exactly. Amanda explained she wanted a divorce. Trevor asked if she'd mentioned him. When she said not yet, he wrote, "Good. Let's keep it that way for now." Amanda asked what he meant. Just that divorce is complicated. Let's see how it goes first. The following days showed Amanda's increasing desperation. Why aren't you answering? I need to know we're solid. Please call me. I don't understand what changed. Trevor never responded again. He ghosted her, I said. Richard nodded. The moment it became real. He wanted the affair, not the commitment. She'd filed for divorce for someone who disappeared within 48 hours. That evening, Amanda appeared at my door around 6:45 p.m., looking worse than I'd ever seen her. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't been sleeping. Her hair was pulled back messily, and she was wearing sweatpants and an old college t-shirt. This wasn't the Amanda who'd carefully curated her appearance for 11 years. I answered the door but stood in the frame, blocking any entrance. "I know you probably hate me right now," she said, her voice already shaking. "I don't hate you," I replied honestly. "Then why won't you talk to me? Really talk?" "I am talking to you. Right now." "Really talk," she repeated, emphasizing the word. "About fixing this. About us." "There's nothing to fix, Amanda. You ended it." "I made a mistake. A terrible mistake." "You made a calculated decision. There's a substantial difference between those two things." She looked genuinely confused, like she couldn't understand why I was being so precise with language. "What do you mean calculated? How long were you in contact with Trevor Whitmore before you sent me that text message?" Her face went completely pale. The color drained so fast I thought she might faint. How do you know about Trevor?" "Phone records. Financial discovery. It's all legal documentation now. That's what you wanted when you asked for lawyers." "It's not what you think. It wasn't like that." 8 weeks of planning," I said, my voice level. "Multiple trips to San Francisco funded by our joint account. 3 separate weekends where you lied to me about where you were going, making absolutely sure you had somewhere safe to land before you jumped ship." She couldn't deny any of it. When she tried to claim it wasn't like that, I asked her directly what it was like. She admitted she'd been talking to Trevor, admitted it had become more than just talking, admitted she'd thought maybe there was something real there with him. "And then what happened?" I asked. "And then I told you about the divorce and he." She trailed off. "He changed his mind." I finished for her. "He disappeared," she corrected, her voice breaking. "He ghosted you the moment it became real. So you came back here." She nodded, tears starting to fall now. "I came back because I realized what we had, what I was throwing away." "You came back because your backup plan failed spectacularly. There's a fundamental difference, Amanda." Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She checked it instinctively, couldn't help herself. I saw the movement, the automatic reach, the quick glance at the screen. "Is that Trevor?" I asked. She clutched the phone tighter. "No, it's Jill checking on me." "Show me then. If it's Jill, just show me the screen." She pulled the phone closer to her chest, protecting it. "I'm not proving anything to you. I'm not on trial here." "You don't have to prove anything," I said calmly. "Your reaction already did. Even now, standing here telling me you want to fix our marriage, you're still checking messages from him. Still hoping he'll come back. Keeping him as backup while keeping me as backup. That's not fair. Show me your phone then. Prove me wrong." Long silence. She looked at her phone, then at me, then at her phone again. She didn't move to show me anything. "Your attorney will contact mine about the next steps," I said, and slowly closed the door. I didn't slam it. Didn't need to. Just closed it firmly and locked it. Through the window, I watched her sit down on the front step. She stayed there for almost 20 minutes this time, staring at her phone, typing messages, deleting them, typing again. Finally, she stood up, got in her car, and drove away. I noticed she was still looking at her phone as she pulled out of the driveway. Thursday morning brought an email from Richard requesting my presence at an emergency meeting. Amanda's attorney had reached out claiming her client was having serious second thoughts about the divorce and wanted to explore alternatives. This should be interesting, Richard wrote. The meeting took place at 2 p.m. in Richard's conference room. Present were myself, Richard, Amanda, and her attorney Christine Harper. Amanda looked like she'd been crying all morning. Christine, by contrast, looked professionally composed but slightly uncomfortable. Christine started immediately. My client was in significant emotional distress when she sent that initial message. She's requesting we treat this matter as a temporary separation rather than grounds for formal divorce proceedings. Richard slid a folder across the conference table. Your client specifically stated, and I quote, "I'm moving forward with the divorce. We can handle the details through lawyers." My client respected her clearly stated wishes and protected his interests accordingly, as any reasonable person would. Christine glanced at Amanda, who was staring at the table. Nevertheless, emotions were running high. People say things in the heat of the moment. This wasn't the heat of the moment, Richard interrupted calmly. This was a text message sent at 11:32 p.m. after apparent careful consideration. Not during an argument. Not in response to any conflict. Just a unilateral decision delivered via text message. Amanda finally looked up. Rob, please. Can't we just talk about this like normal people? I'd been quiet until that moment, letting Richard handle the legal aspects. But now I spoke. When did you first contact Trevor Whitmore? Amanda's eyes widened. Christine put her hand on Amanda's arm, a clear signal not to answer. But I continued. August 15th, wasn't it? 2 days after the Forbes article about his IPO came out. Then you visited him in San Francisco on 3 separate weekends. September 28th, October 12th, and October 19th. You told me you were going to a spa retreat, visiting a sick aunt in LA, and attending Jill's birthday party. But you were actually in San Francisco with Trevor. Christine started to object, but I kept going, my voice still calm and level. The phone records show 347 text messages over 8 weeks, 23 phone calls, planning, coordinating, building a relationship while you were still sleeping in my bed every night. When did he stop responding to your messages, Amanda? She looked at Christine helplessly. Christine whispered something to her, but Amanda's composure was cracking. October 25th, I answered my own question. The day after you sent me that divorce text. He disappeared completely. And now you want to undo everything because your backup plan evaporated. That's not, Amanda started. Show everyone your phone, I said quietly. Right now? Show us you're not still trying to reach him. Show us those messages. Prove you're here because you want to fix our marriage, not because you have nowhere else to go. Amanda looked at her phone lying on the table in front of her. She didn't pick it up, didn't move toward it, just stared at it like it might explode. I didn't think so, I said, and stood up. I'm done with this meeting. File whatever needs to be filed. I'll sign whatever needs to be signed. But I'm not going to sit here and be someone's consolation prize while they wait to see if their first choice changes his mind. Amanda reached for my arm as I passed. Rob, please. I stopped but didn't look at her. You spent 2 months planning to leave me for someone else. Then you want to come back only after he rejected you. And even now, you can't show me your phone because you're still messaging him. Still hoping. I'm not your backup plan, Amanda. I'm not your safety net. Find someone else to catch you. I walked out of the conference room. Richard followed a moment later, his expression somewhere between impressed and satisfied. That was perfect, he said once we were in the hallway. Clear, controlled, and completely definitive. The kind of statement that makes it very difficult for opposing counsel to claim you're being unreasonable. I meant every single word, I told him. I know, he replied. That's why it worked so well. Friday, Richard called about Amanda's employment. She'd been put on administrative leave for misusing company resources, specifically charging personal San Francisco trips to her corporate card. Someone had anonymously reported it to HR. Trevor. He really didn't want any connection to the situation. So she was using both her personal card from your joint account and her company card, Richard said. That makes the financial deception even worse. Financial discovery showed Amanda had spent over $8,000 from our joint account on her relationship with Trevor. designer clothes, jewelry, spa treatments. All to impress someone who disappeared within days. Saturday afternoon, a FedEx package arrived. Return address, Trevor Whitmore, San Francisco. Inside were printed text conversations between him and Amanda, with a note. I'm not getting dragged into your divorce. These show what really happened. The messages revealed everything. Amanda had reached out first, asked about his wealth, suggested meeting in person, complained about me being boring, asked if he was single. Trevor had encouraged it all. They'd planned for Amanda to move to San Francisco. She'd told him on October 24th she was telling me that night. His October 25th response asked if she was already separated. When she said no, he replied, "That changes things. I didn't realize you were still living together like married." The conversation deteriorated from there, with Trevor claiming he couldn't be the reason someone got divorced and Amanda protesting that he'd said he wanted to be together. I sent everything to Richard. On Sunday, we met at his office. He's protecting himself legally, Richard said. But this is direct evidence of premeditation and deception. We created a complete timeline from August through the present. The following weeks revealed more consequences. Amanda lost her job officially. Word had spread about the corporate card situation and her affair. She'd tried staying with Jill for the first 2 weeks, but that arrangement had fallen apart quickly. Now she was living with her parents in El Cajon, back in her childhood bedroom at 36 years old. Her social circle had distanced themselves. Trevor was publicly dating someone new. When we finally reached the spousal support hearing in late November, the judge reviewed everything. Amanda's initiation of divorce, her abandonment of the home, her depletion of marital funds for an extramarital relationship, and her job loss due to her own misconduct. The judge denied her motion for temporary support. Outside the courthouse, Amanda asked if I was really going to leave her with nothing. I replied, "I'm leaving you with exactly what you chose. You wanted to leave the marriage. I'm accommodating that." In early December, we met for the final settlement conference. The negotiations had been straightforward once Amanda realized she had no leverage. I would keep the house in Claremont, my retirement accounts, and 70% of what remained in our joint savings after her spending spree. She would get her retirement account, all her personal belongings, and 30% of the savings. It was more generous than Richard thought I needed to be, but I wanted this finished. When we signed the papers, Amanda's hand shook as she picked up the pen. The conference room was quiet except for the scratch of signatures on documents. After she signed the last page, she looked up at me. "Can I ask you something?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Go ahead. Did you ever really love me? Like, genuinely love me?" I thought about lying, about making this easier on both of us. But she'd asked for honesty, so I gave it to her. Every single day for 11 years. Even the days when things felt hard, even when we weren't connecting the way we used to, I loved you. Every morning I woke up next to you. I was grateful you were there. Her eyes filled with tears. "Then how can you just let me go like this? How can you be so okay with walking away?" "Because you asked me to. You spent 2 months carefully planning to leave me for someone else. Then you only wanted to come back when your backup plan failed. That's not love, Amanda. That's convenience. That's being scared of being alone. And I love myself too much to be someone's convenient option or their safety net." "I really did love you," she said, tears now falling freely. "Maybe you did, in your way. But you loved the idea of something else more. You loved what Trevor represented, excitement, wealth, a fresh start. And that's okay. People want what they want. You're just discovering that what you wanted came with costs you weren't ready to pay." She wiped at her eyes with a tissue Christine handed her. "I don't know what I'm going to do now. I don't have a job. I'm living with my parents at 36, and I have no idea how to move forward." "That's the thing about burning bridges while you're still standing on them," I said, not unkindly. "Eventually, you have to figure out how to swim. But you will figure it out. You're smart and capable when you're not distracted by chasing something that isn't real." She gathered her papers and stood to leave, but paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I am sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything or change anything, but I am genuinely sorry for how I handled all of this." "I appreciate that," I said, and I meant it. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. I just can't be part of that search anymore." That was the last conversation we had. The divorce became final on June 1st, about 7 months after her text message had arrived on my phone. By the time the divorce became final, my life had transformed completely. I'd lost 20 pounds, not through stress, but through actually taking care of myself again. Running around Mission Bay 3 mornings a week. Hiking Torrey Pines on weekends. Eating meals I actually wanted instead of compromising on restaurants to avoid conflict. The promotion at work had come through in March, bringing better pay and a title I'd been working toward for years. I'd repainted the master bedroom, replacing the beige Amanda had insisted on with a deep blue I actually liked. Bought new furniture for the living room. Made the house feel like mine instead of ours. I'd reconnected with college friends I'd lost touch with during the marriage. Started attending a monthly hiking group through Meetup. Took a weekend trip to Yosemite with my brother Daniel. Began reading again, something I'd somehow stopped doing years ago without realizing it. In April, I'd met Kelly at a group hike through the hiking group. She was funny, direct, and refreshingly honest about what she wanted. We'd been dating casually for about 6 weeks now, taking things slow, but it felt different than it had with Amanda. Lighter. Easier. Like I wasn't walking on eggshells or trying to decode hidden meanings in every conversation. One evening in late May, I sat on my back patio with a beer, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. My phone buzzed with a text from Kelly. Still on for dinner tomorrow? There's a new sushi place in La Jolla I want to try. I texted back, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Me too, she replied. Torrey Pines hike on Sunday if the weather holds. Perfect, I wrote. I set my phone down and took a long drink of my beer. 6 months ago, Amanda had sent a text message ending our marriage. She'd expected me to fight, to beg, to make grand gestures proving my love. Instead, I'd accepted her decision and protected myself. She'd lost her job, her independence, and her dignity trying to reverse a choice she'd made impulsively. I'd lost a marriage that was already dying and gained absolute clarity about what I actually wanted from life. Life after Amanda's text message wasn't what I'd expected when I'd first read those words. It was significantly better. Sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are when they think you're not paying attention. Amanda had given me that gift, wrapped in a late-night text message, and I'd responded by accepting it completely and moving forward. She'd written that she was moving ahead with the divorce and expected me to stay behind. She'd moved ahead with her plans, and I hadn't stayed behind at all. I'd moved ahead too, just in a completely different direction than she'd ever anticipated. Turns out, sometimes the end of something is just the beginning of something better. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.